Here we are at Freddie's Flowers for another episode of Challenges and Icons, and today we're meeting Freddie Garland, the founder of this subscription flower delivery business. In just 4 years he's built it from himself to 120 people delivering by bike or by van around the country, a surprising and delightful bouquet of flowers inside this box with everything you need to arrange the flowers in your home and have a beautiful display. Freddie, before founding Freddie's Flowers, worked at Abel & Cole, a leading fruit and veg subscription service, and taking the lessons from that, applied it to the world of floristry and bringing joy and delight into people's homes. His mother and father were florists, and although I think he realizes at that time he couldn't quite see the success of where flowers could go, he has built this business from being a one-man operation to 120 people bringing joy to people's lives around the country. So any minute now, Freddie Garland is going to arrive into his shed and we're going to hear all about the things that have made it such a big success. So let's enjoy. Great, welcome to Challenges and Icons, and today we are meeting Freddie Garland, who is the founder of Freddie Flowers, and we are in Freddie's shed, and so it's a great pleasure to say welcome to Challenges and Icons. Nice to meet you in your shed.
Yes.
Hear about your success that you've been building over the last 4 years. I've got some fairly kind of quick-fire questions for you. I just wanted to start off by saying, if you could tell us about Freddie's Flowers in just one sentence.
It's difficult, yes. But I would say at Freddie's Flowers, we deliver the freshest, best value flowers direct from the grower, with arranging hints and tips, explaining how to do it. But I think what really sets us apart is sort of the personal approach that I put into it. So I kind of create all the arrangements and put a huge amount of love and effort into each one, which I think really sets us apart from anyone else.
Great.
It makes it a bit different.
So it's a subscription business. It's kind of revolutionizing the way people receive flowers, in the sense that you are subscribing to them and you get a kind of a regular kind of delivery from Freddie's Flowers. So let's just talk about the 3 things that have impacted the success of your business. What's made it so great?
Well, I think one of the really important things is having an unbelievable team around me. So I started with, literally my mum and dad's garden in Wandsworth, just up the road from here, sort of 4 years ago. And that was literally me and my brother's friend, Harry. And from there, we've literally expanded, kind of looking for students and creatives and people who need sort of flexible part-time work to help promote the business. So you might have seen our bikes kind of out and about on the streets of London. We've got loads of those. So we've employed loads of students. So that's one thing, having a fabulous team, and they've all been just great and driven to create something really special. Point 2 is kind of, I think having the goal of focusing on one arrangement and having a real idea in mind that all we want to do is create the perfect box of flowers each week. Everyone's vision is just, we do one arrangement and that's it each week, and we just need to make it as good as it possibly can be, which always requires quite a lot of, you can always improve basically. And then point 3, I think I've just had some fabulous advice from sort of mentors along the way. So a couple of guys one guy Keith, who started Abel & Cole, the organic fruit and vegetable subscription company, has been very helpful to me getting all this started. So those are my 3 points.
Well, that's great. So we've got a great team.
Great team.
Which also in that was evolving around the way people want to work and growing them with you on the
Yeah.
journey, so to speak.
Well, exactly. Yeah, really getting them involved in the journey, and
Yeah.
you know, and giving people a real opportunity actually to kind of give something a go. So we've often looked for sort of personalities to bring into the team and people we really like, and just and seen where they almost fit, and then they've just been allowed to kind of crack on and give it a go.
Yeah, nice one. And then the second one was a killer product, really, which is you're just doing one thing,
Yeah.
and you're doing one thing really, really well.
Yeah.
And you're not distracting yourself by trying to kind of like, step away from that. You've just
Yeah.
been building it around that core
Yeah.
and delivering that
Yeah.
on a subscription basis,
Yeah.
to people who, presumably want flowers in their lives because it's a
joyful.
wonderful thing.
Brings you a lot of joy. It's creative. Brings a lot of zen into your life. It's like 10 minutes out of your day each week just to do something. You're working with nature. So it's just a lovely thing to do. And to make the one arrangement, I think, to really focus on just the one product is really cool and means sort of sets us apart, I think.
Cool. And then the last bit is great advice and
Yeah.
and previous experiences which you can draw from the mentorship or the kind of advisors that you've had in your
Absolutely.
previous experience. I'm well aware of your involvement in Able and Cole, and
Yeah.
that must have been a fantastic sort of
Yeah.
kind of breeding ground of kind of like knowledge and experience. And,
Yeah, because I worked there as well.
Yes.
So I sort of helped do their some of their door-to-door sales there, and I sort of met Keith through that, and then went to him at the end when I'd sort of done what I could do there with the idea, and we sort of discussed it together really, and he's been really helpful since.
Brilliant. Well, it's always great to have a sort of a mentor on the way. So it's a fairly obvious sort of question now, I suppose, really, after that. But when you were thinking about flowers, what made you think of an e-commerce subscription service and not, for example, revolutionising florists in a traditional sense, the florist shops?
So, well, really, my dad had a flower shop in Pimlico for 30 years, and my mum was sort of one of the florists in that flower shop. So I grew up in a flower shop, and basically kind of saw firsthand the challenges that a flower shop has. So, the flowers aren't as fresh because they've been sitting around for quite a while. You get a really high wastage because you don't know how many customers are sort of coming in each day. And for the customer's point of view, there's not that much kind of creativity with a flower shop because you go in, the florist kind of makes stuff for you, and that's great. And then there's also florists kind of know what people like, so they kind of have the same thing in their shop each day, or they don't challenge people very much. Whereas I think with us, or with a subscription, or a regular delivery, there's no wastage because we work directly with the growers, and so we know pretty much how many deliveries we're doing each week. So we cut the flowers to order, basically. They're cut to order, and therefore they're delivered to our, where the flowers are packed within sort of 48 hours. So they're unbelievably fresh. And I think we challenge customers on what, on some interesting varieties and stuff like that. I mean, do I have something I was working with today?
Look at that.
An Etrusco bloom. You will not see that in a florist shop, I tell you. These were grown especially for us. They're in the arrangement next week, and they're just quite cool. So I think we challenge customers on interesting flowers.
Yeah.
I was arranging with that this morning. Very little wastage, cut to order. We know how many customers we've got, and interesting varieties.
So that's that whole idea of no wastage, knowing exactly what your customer wants, being able to then plan out your kind of your orders from your growers must create an incredible sort of economy of scale and and just make it very precise and I love the idea of it being a zero waste business. Frankly, it's considering I had never really appreciated that floristry it produces the kind of waste in the way that you describe. So it's a very efficient model, is basically what you're saying.
Really efficient. It's fantastic for the growers because they, we're a year out planning with them, so we're working a year ahead. So they know, what they're due to grow, and they know they're going to sell that amount to us. So it works really well for everyone, and it's great. And we're nearly plastic free as well, which is cool. But so we're good on both fronts.
Nice one.
Great.
Really good. Pleased to hear that. And So let's just talk about people now. Let's switch it from your brand, Freddie's Flowers, and talk about the people and lifestyles.
Yeah.
Why do you think subscription generally is working for people's lifestyles today? What's the sort of the thing that's going on from your perspective?
Well, I think the obvious thing is that it just takes away a huge amount of the hassle from day-to-day life, really. I mean, having things delivered just makes everything much easier. I'd say the joy of a sort of flower delivery is what's great about that is it is just a surprise each week, which is not something you can necessarily get with going into a shop or something. You don't have to. We don't sort of let you know what's coming next week unless you want to know. So it is just like a bit of fun delivered to your door each week. So I think there is that sense of
delight.
This is delight and this is fun, and we try and make it really fun. I think that's a really important part of it. It feels really personal, and you just can't really get that going into a shop. So I think, the sort of regular delivery sense of this, and you feel like you're part of something. You're being creative. So I think, that's.
Well, that's. I mean, I totally understand the idea of sort of people wanting. Take the ease and convenience, and from your point of view, that sort of delight and is amplified. I mean, I get excited if a book gets delivered to me, for example. Like, ooh, it's something from Amazon. But flowers have an amplified effect, which is a kind of like an even. It's a lovely thing for in today's day and age to give people that sort of sense of delight and surprise.
And they're so visual and creative flowers that people get so overexcited by arranging them and following the sort of tips on how to arrange it and stuff.
Yeah. So let's just talk about kind of like how you help people kind of get into the arranging, because they get this wonderful sort of surprising sort of bouquet, I guess, or not really. I mean, it's an arrangement. It's an arrangement. It's a selection of flowers, and you use both creativity in the experience of receiving, and then the instructions, and then allowing people into that process. Can you talk about the sort of the whole creative sort of side of things and how involving it is, and what you've done, and then where technology comes into that as well, maybe behind the scenes or wherever you sort of feel it works for you? Yeah,
I mean, I started off so in each box I sort of give a really nice. I could show now. Shall I show some arranging tips? Is this a good time? Okay. So, is this a good one? This is a good one. This looks nice. So, I'll start by saying I started sort of the key idea for me when getting started was the sort of some of the hints and tips on how to arrange your flowers. So the idea was the flowers come unarranged, and you get to put them together, which is great fun because you get the fun of doing it, and just having an arrangement that you plonk in a vase is no fun. So from the word go, the first thing I did was the first 10 customers I did, I hand wrote, what you did with the flowers. So it was me at sort of 11 o'clock at night, desperately scrabbling down how, but it's so nice and personal, writing down what to do. And it's just evolved from there into this kind of really personal communication sort of with the customer, where I think illustration is such a great way of displaying that. Yeah. So we do these sort of beautiful illustrations on how to actually put them together, a sort of step-by-step guide.
Easy to understand, not intimidating. Don't feel like you have to be gone on some degree or course to have learned how to do floral arranging. It's like it's simple, and I think that's a really key point. Actually, is that the whole purpose of this is not to be. You don't have to be a florist at all. It's just sort of how do you make your home look nice. And my mum wasn't a trained. She hadn't been trained by anyone, so she just sort of showed me a few bits. And so much of floristry is just what colours work well together and stuff. That all this is showing you how to put it together and make it look and I write all the copy and sort of show how to arrange it and do a video on explaining how to arrange it each week and stuff. Yeah, I mean, people that might be watching this for the first time might not realise that just the sort of the scale of your business, that you're delivering throughout the UK on a subscription basis. Yeah. You've got a fleet of bikes, and you've got kind of, I think it's over 100 plus people working for you. And yet I feel like when I'm engaging with the box and I'm reading your kind of leaflets, I am actually talking to you. So to know that you've actually written all that stuff and it is your tone of voice is very genuine and very real, which is aligned to the product. And I think that's
Yeah.
A very good way to make a connection with people.
Yeah, and I think how we've elaborated on that is kind of with the box. You know, we've got sort of, you know, we've got a chap who helps draw some of these illustrations, and I think that just adds an extra level of sort of personality. And I think, you know, it's kind of personality and flowers is so much part of this. It's just like a fun thing to be part of, and you know, everything about it. You know, this is the same box that I started with 4 years ago. You know, we've literally not really changed the style or look of it. So it really is incredibly personal, and we won't drift away from that. You know, I think that's just
great.
It's just so important to maintain my tone of voice, I think, and just that's such a key focus for me anyway, is talking to the customer. Yeah,
which you do very well through things like you know, your social media posts and things like that, which we'll sort of come back to in a minute. So the other part of the question was technology, and would you say that technology is used to facilitate the engagement with your brand, you know, the subscription, or are there other aspects of technology which you are harnessing at the moment that you can talk about, or is growing, or?
We're not that much of a sort of technical business. I mean, so much of what we've done is word of mouth and is our bikes that you know, they really generate the highest proportion of our customers by a long way. I'd say we're only just sort of actually scratching the surface on what we could do with online stuff, which is exciting. But you know, to get the sense of this, of what we're trying to do, you know, I just think the face-to-face stuff is so, you know, it can go on forever basically, and there's no sort of limit to how many people you can talk to and explain things like that. So technology, we use it, and you know, our website's really functional and nice and easy to use and stuff. But it's not at the moment like we're going to start thinking about it a bit more.
Yeah.
There's nothing that amazing we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, it's an amazing number of actually subscription companies and brands that I've spoken to in the past, and they bucket themselves in sort of a tech company.
Yeah.
You know, and I look at them and go, actually, but you know, you may think of yourself as a tech company, but actually you're a brand which is, you know, providing people with something that they sort of need, which is real, but they themselves don't think of themselves. So it's actually quite refreshing to hear you sort of talk about, you know, inherently the product is natural. You know, there's a very human element to it, and you're preserving that. And it seems like, you know, technology is there to sort of you know, be the platform for you to kind of engage. You know, have one voice, but speak to an ever increasing sort of numbers of fans, perhaps. You know,
so social media or something is, you know, we do the videos, and I'm trying to explain how to arrange the flowers on there. But that's kind of what it's for, is to try and talk to the customers more.
Yeah. So whilst we're talking about social media, let's just jump to that you know, what would you say is the most influential sort of platform for your business and growth, you know, that you've been experiencing?
Well, I mean, platform-wise, we just get so few customers anywhere other than our bikes and speaking to people on the doorstep. I mean, I can't. It sounds
so
like
your bikes are the biggest platform,
without a doubt, by, you know, 90% to 10%. You know, we have 30 of these bikes out every day all around the country, talking to people. We used to do what I've done a huge amount of, which is go and knock on people's door and chat to them, and just talking to people. But social media, we do a little bit of that, trying to get customers there, but so much of our focus is on the face-to-face chatting to people.
Amazing. I mean, we've sort of been aware of you for some time, and you know, my team are sort of big fans of your sort of Instagram posts. So that's what I was expecting you to say. So,
oh, really?
So for you to say it's the bikes is phenomenal, actually. Once again, you know, I mean, as I've sort of inferred, you know, what I've said so far, you're obviously, you know, literally a growing business, and you know, 4 years at 120 people, you know, that's a business which is going somewhere.
Yeah.
But to sort of think of it in sort of quite an analog way, and the success being conversations, you know, bikes on the street, people seeing it,
that's what real
product. It's very refreshing to hear all that.
That's good, and I just love that about it. You know, it's pretty back to basics. It's like the milkman delivering milk, but you know, it's a bit old school.
But
But it works.
Quite
That's
modern,
good.
you know, sustainable.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the future, plans for the future, sort of if you're able to.
Yeah.
I don't know, think of a question like if we're standing here sort of like having another chat in sort of, you know, on year 10 for you, what do you think you might have achieved, or, you know, kind of what would be your dream, you know, or...
I really, I mean, we've talked about it quite a lot in general, and just, you know, as a whole team. But I think the key focus really is how can we get our, I mean, it sounds almost silly to say, but it is how can we get this arrangement, that the only focus we have at the moment is how do we get this one box of flowers better than what is possible, you know, just so good. Like, how can we make, you know, when the first customer opens their box, how can it just be the easiest, most exciting thing that they get all week is what we've got to do. You know, all of this can be done better. You know, or the delivery can be done better. You know, the interaction with customers on the telephone can be done better. All that kind of thing, like the slickest service possible. And we'll always be doing that. I'd say, you know, one plan we have is, would we like to go abroad? You know, that would be a really exciting thing. How could we take this to another country? So there's discussions on that. But in terms of sort of product, you know, it's how do we get, and also how do we meet more people? You know, how do we get this idea across to more people in a similar way? So we're thinking about sort of flower arranging courses. You know, getting people involved in workshops where a customer can bring a friend. You know, again, it's face to face, and it's a really nice, engaging thing to do. So it's just getting the message out there and improving our arrangement is the sort of the key thing at the moment.
Yeah, well, I love the idea of just staying focused on the one thing and not being distracted from it. And I suppose that is, you know, the other question, which I think we've kind of answered anyway, which is, you know, what is your biggest challenge? I would imagine it is both doing that and not getting distracted from that.
Yes.
So.
But in my, you know, experience, which is limited, but also others I've heard, you know, if you do get distracted, that can be such a mistake in some ways. You know, the second you start thinking, well, actually, maybe our customers want a bigger box or a smaller box, you're then actually not confident in some ways in what you're doing. So there's so much strength in saying, we know this is this is what we like, and we do the most stylish, best quality flowers. And the second you start sort of drifting from that, you're losing confidence in some ways in your message.
Well, I would agree with that. Well, listen, we've come to the end of our conversation today. Really enjoyed it, and it's been, you know, inspirational for me actually to hear someone sort of talk about a product that's very real, bringing sort of real enjoyment into people's lives and delight and surprise from somebody that also is very delightful and a pleasure to be with. So, Freddie of Freddie's Flowers.
Yes, very lovely to meet you.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, and cheers.
Cheers.
Good luck.
Thank you.